Daily lift number 28. So we're going to continue down this rabbit hole of the proper mindset that you have to have if you're going to grow a lease option empire. And we are offering all these tips and scripts and exactly how we do it inside the lease option empire course. Please go to leaseoptionempires.com and we will give you our ultimate guide to creating a lease option empire. And inside this strategy is that you have to understand that you're going to be serving two radically underserved markets, and that this market is clamoring for lease option emperors and people like joint ops, so that because no one else is serving them in the market. So let's talk about first the concept of the forgotten man. The concept of the forgotten man is a libertarian theory created by William Graham Sumner, and then Amnesty Shales took that concept and made it into a book talking about the New Deal and the Great Depression. And so who is the forgotten man? So you're always going to have these two angles around the middle class. You're going to have big business and big banks and big entities that get in front of the media and make a bunch of noise. You're also going to have the lower end of the spectrum of society who are going to combine together, and they were going to become a private interest group. We reference them as the poor. And so we're going to create programs like Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, food stamps, all that stuff. And so, but there's a big group of people in the middle who get nothing, get no subsidies, and they're essentially forgotten. And the reason it was relevant inside the Great Depression and this book, where I got this idea called The Forgotten Man, is she goes through the New Deal and talks about how if big business played ball with the government and they agreed to all the New Deal subsidies and regulations, that the government just funneled business with them. So they were not forgotten. They were well taken care of. And then you had the destitute and the poor who were getting taken care of by all the New Deal programs and subsidies. But the people who got hammered were the small business guys who weren't big enough to get subsidized by New Deal programs and who didn't make enough noise and become their own private interest group in order to get some type of New Deal subsidies, some type of New Deal benefit. So when you create a lease option empire, there are two versions of the forgotten man that you are going to serve and do business with. One is 80% of the market who cannot get conventional financing. These people, it's a demographic between about a $50,000 house and a $120,000 house. No banker wants to touch them. There is no Section 8. There is no housing subsidies for these type people. So they're stuck in between. They want to be homeowners, but no one is offering them financing to become a homeowner. So they need people like Bob and I, like Mitch Stevens, like other people who specialize in lease options and owner financing deals to offer them the opportunity to own their own home. Because here's what happens between $0 to $50,000 is absolute war zones and ghettos, and we don't play in that type of neighborhood. But there are several investors who do, and they're also providing a valuable service. Bob and I have just decided not to do that. So between $50,000 and $120,000 is this spot where no bank wants to play. And then about 120 to a million, there are banks and mortgage brokers and everybody who wants to play in that space. And so anybody who can qualify for an FHA loan there are plenty of banks and there are plenty of mortgage brokers who want to work with these people. And so the void we fill in this market, this underserved market, is good, hardworking people for a lot of ticky-tack reasons, like starting a new job or moving to a new city. You have to have 2 years of tax returns day one just to get a mortgage broker to talk to you. So this is a vastly underserved market. It's about 80% of of the entire country. And no one is talking to them and no one is serving them. They have been forgotten because they are not poor enough to get a Section 8 voucher, and they are not wealthy enough to get a middle-class welfare check, also known as a conventional mortgage. And why is a conventional mortgage a middle-class welfare check? It's because it's 30-year fixed financing. No one on earth, no lender in their right mind would do that unless the government is backing that loan. So I'm not putting a value statement saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm just saying that there's 80% of the population who are these forgotten people. So who is the second group of forgotten people that you are going to serve with a lease option emperor? It's the demographic of the higher end of the middle class, the people who make between about $150,000 to probably $400,000. And they aren't making enough money to really get inside the sweet deals. I know they're accredited by the SEC, but they're not made liquid enough to get inside the really sweet deals inside a family offering or inside an IPO. And if they can get into an IPO, it's very new and very risky and can be completely unreliable. Where if someone's sitting around with a couple $1 million in cash, they can lose on an IPO and it's not a big deal. So what is someone making about $100,000 to $400,000 left with? Qualified plans, IRAs, and day after day we come on this show and we do videos and we beat why those are absolutely horrible and why the myth of the middle class is absolutely horrible. So what we're serving is that second group of forgotten people with private lending and turnkey deals. And so with private lending, this is the only place where that demographic can lend money that is asset backed. And in the worst case scenario, you're going to get some type of brick and mortar. Like when you are looking to find private money, you have to go in with the frame that if Wall Street goes under, you are left with jack and shit. With me, you either get or you get. You get the interest from the property, or if I don't pay you, you get the property. So that second group that you're doing business with of forgotten people, the only subsidy they can get, they can't get the big General Motors subsidies. They can't get the big type of solar subsidies that big businesses are getting. The only subsidy they can really get is a 30-year conventional mortgage. So, and all they can really do to invest their money is to funnel it into IRAs. And then take all the risk for very little of the reward, and it's dead capital to them. So when you actually offer a private offering and secured by a piece of real estate, you are working with a group of people who vastly need people to come in and take their capital and protect it and maximize it for them. And so it is the perfect trade. And this is the frame you have to set, that you either get or you get. You either get the property, or if I foreclose on you, or you foreclose on me, you get a piece of cash flowing real estate. And now for turnkey buyers, another group of forgotten people, the one subsidy they can get is 30-year fixed financing. And if they're married, they can get up to 20 of them. So if you can hook people up with 20 investment properties and get that level of cash flow, you are doing a valuable service and you are teaching a valuable skill set. Because once they get to 20, then they can start getting some commercial loans and start doing some more creative ways to start bringing in that cash flow and eventually get their passive income to equal their expenses.